When you push them on Israel, the administrations will gladly deal with it, as Harvard did. When you push them on DEI, that's where you maintain public support for controlling universities. But that's when you lose the universities, because the universities will literally kill their own students for being anti-Israel. But the universities will also still maintain a woke veneer.
How you doing?
Fine, thanks. Thanks, Caroline. A follow-up on Harvard. The president floated on Truth Social, I believe, the possibility of removing tax-exempt status. How serious is that threat, and are there other universities he's considering? And then a follow-up question on foreign policy. Can you give us an update on what the president hopes to come from the next round of talks with Iran?
Sure. First, when it comes to Harvard, as I said, the president has been quite clear. They must follow federal law. He also wants to see Harvard apologize, and Harvard should apologize for the egregious anti-Semitism that took place on their college campus against Jewish American students. There were professors who said that he had engaged in discriminatory behavior against Jewish students. Of course, you had the former president of the university saying bullying and harassment depends on the context. You also had an encampment on Harvard Yard that we all saw play out before the cameras. The university failed to impose formal discipline on any students for this anti-Semitic conduct violations, including the occupation of a campus building and the disruption of classes with bullhorns. The president believes Harvard should apologize to its Jewish American students for allowing. As for the tax-exempt status, I would defer you to the IRS for any updates. I do want to answer your question on Iran, of course. The maximum pressure campaign on Iran continues, but as you know, the president has made it clear he wants to see dialogue and discussion with Iran while making his directive about Iran never being able to obtain a nuclear weapon quite clear. And the president spoke to the Sultan of Oman today, who helped facilitate these talks. I have a readout for all of you. He held a call with the Sultan.
I really have to thank HasanAbi for opening my eyes as a Jew to Zionism and the harm, especially of Palestinians. It has allowed me to inform my father, who went to the kibbutz as a kid and as a leftist, has now, until now, been neutral on Israel. He's now an active anti-Zionist advocate, as well as his sister. They both grew up with parents who survived Auschwitz. Hell yeah, chatter. I mean, this is why I do what I do, baby. I still don't understand. America is shit reel's lapdog. Can you please explain? No, it's not. I know that things that this administration does make it seem as though that's the case. It is not the case, okay? Israel is a favored client state and has a status higher than any other client state. But make no mistake, these people don't give a f about even criticism against Israel, okay? They care about it as far as like they want to strategically stop people from chirping about Israel, but the real reason here is that they're using the long process of the pro-Israeli lobby, the long and convoluted effort engaged in by the pro-Israeli lobby in basically creating mechanisms of influence in the United States of America. They're using that pre-existing weapon, basically, driving it to its logical conclusion to undermine the First Amendment, to undermine due process. It's not going to stop at criticizing Israel. If you think that this administration, if it is successful in prosecuting anti-Israel speech and eroding successfully the First Amendment, first against non-citizens, then against citizens as well, if you think that they're going to stop at like, oh, it's just about Israel. If you say anything else, if you say F America, you're fine, you're delusional. Israel has played a very important role in the Cold War. Israel has played a very important role as an espionage, as an arm that can, test out our weapons, as a unsinkable aircraft carrier in an otherwise resource-rich region, a mechanism of permanent control in the area, plays a very important role in our grand desires in this resource-rich region that controls the flow of petroleum, the most important commodity of all. We will never place the same level of faith and trust in Arab allies as we do Israel, no matter how much we give them, no matter how much money we take from them and sell them weapons. They will always be dangerous and unpredictable, as opposed to Israel, because at the end of the day, those nations are still comprised of citizenry that hates Israel and hates America. So in times of instability, there is a likelihood that the Arab nations and their population could revolt, and the dynamic could shift very easily, as it did in Iran. Okay? Whereas that won't happen to Israel, because Israel is tied to the hip to the United States of America. Israel's continued existence as a violent aberration in the region, from its inception all the way down to contemporary Israeli politics, it's apartheid. The maintenance of its apartheid, the genocide that it engages in, could not happen without Western support. Israel is that valuable to American state interests in this region, and therefore, even at times when Israel itself harms American assets, harms the American agenda, when Israel steals American classified information and ships it off to Mossad, even then we turn a blind eye to it. USS Liberty, we turn a blind eye to it. Why? Because that's how valuable Israel is. You understand? Speaking of Israeli assets, a real meeting of the minds took place in Israel, and I wanted to show this to you. Jonathan Pollard, former U.S. intelligence analyst who served 35 years for espionage for Israel and was later pardoned by the champ Floyd Mayweather in Jerusalem.
Stupid. I never would have gotten in the ring with you at all. Just throw the towel in.
How you doing?
I'm alive. Thank you for coming. It's very important.
40 years?
35.
Wow.
Damn. 5 years.
By the way, everybody saw me. Trump, what does he do? Takes pictures.
No, the lesson is you don't talk.
Oh.
You don't talk. I never would have gotten in the ring with you at all.
How you doing?
At all. Just throw the towel in.
How you doing?
I'm alive.
Mayweather can't read, so I don't expect much from him ever. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about not being able to read. Some context for those of us who don't know what the f is going on. Floyd Mayweather is on a state-sponsored trip to Israel to glaze Israel. And in that state-sponsored visit, he ends up talking to Jonathan Pollard, former U.S. Intelligence analyst who famously stole classified information and leaked it to Mossad, and then was promptly prosecuted and was imprisoned for 35 years until Donald Trump released him from prison, put him on Sheldon Adelson's private jet, and flew his to Israel. Hasan, have you ever been told, don't talk bad about Israel, free Palestine? Yes. What do you mean?
Thank you for coming. It's very important.
40 years?
30.
Yeah, just a real meeting of the minds, yeah.
I never.
Even Zionist Hosberg accounts are like, better to amplify voices than Pollard. He should be keeping a low profile. Anyway, yes, he stole nuclear secrets, yes, and gave it to Mossad. It's so funny because Jonathan Pollard is another guy who was like, didn't he say something along the lines of basically relitigating dual loyalty tropes, but as a positive? I might be misremembering. But I feel like he got caught and was like, every Jew should be loyal to Israel and Israel only. another thing that Nazis love bringing up. That's not dual loyalty. I mean, yeah, that's not even dual loyalty. It's a singular loyalty, but that's what dual loyalty means anyway. Let's continue.
Of Oman today, and he thanked him for hosting the first direct meeting between the United States and Iran, and emphasized the need for Iran to end its nuclear program through negotiations. The two leaders also discussed the United States' ongoing operations against the Houthis, and emphasized that the Houthis will pay a severe price until they end their attacks on maritime traffic in the Red Sea. As you know, an additional negotiation between Steve Witkoff and Iran's representative has been scheduled for Saturday, and since these are ongoing negotiations, I have nothing more to add on that.
So let's talk about Ivy League colleges. And we know that the anti-Semitism raging on some of the most elite institutions in our country has to be addressed. And as soon as Barnard got raided, a couple of...
Oh. Pollard claims Jews will always have dual loyalty whether they know it or not. Dude, just do blood libel at that point. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Sick, dude. Thanks. Jonathan Pollard be like, no, you don't understand. Behind closed doors, we think all of the Goyim are cattle. Trust me. It's all, it's not just the Kahanas. We all think this. Like, just straight up, that's anti-Semitic? Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah, Jonathan Pollard be like, yeah, we love rubbing our hands against one another as we entertain the notion of poisoning wells and kidnapping children. But yo, this was really funny. The hostages' family should have been jailed to shut them up. Says former U.S. citizen who was an Israeli spy. I remember this. Yeah. The hostage families are getting in the way of Israel's genocide. Which is why they need to shut the fuck up and know their place. He's a pretty crazy dude. If Israel's an American client state, why would they even arrest him for spying? Why was it even an issue for them? No, it is because Israel's a client state and not the state that controls America in the way that a lot of fucking people perceive it. That they, of course, arrested him because there is literally a limit to that allegiance. No, it's not to keep up the appearances, chatters. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Sure, accidents happen. USS Liberty gets fucking lasered. That's one thing, okay? America expends its military on a regular basis. They're probably more upset at that point that the fucking scrap metal is not usable on the ships rather than the actual people that were killed in the process. Okay? But the reason why you can't, there's a level to what you can do, okay? You can't just steal as a U.S. Navy intelligence analyst, steal nuclear secrets and give it to fucking Mossad. This is why I always say there's like two different mindsets in the CIA. Either people who fucking absolutely hate Israel or absolutely love Israel. Obviously, it's not a secret which side wins in that regard. It's the people that love Israel and understand its position that are always the domineering forces within our intelligence communities. But there's still plenty of fucking people who despise Israel for doing shit like this on a regular basis. Same thing goes for the State Department as a whole. Anyway, I was dead set against these kidnap posters because each one of them was a poison dart, said Pollard. Pollard is a convicted spy who spent 3 decades in North Carolina prison for providing top secret information about the U.S. to Israel. The former Navy intelligence officer, using his top secret and sensitive compartmented information access to national defense information, provided Israel with thousands of pages of U.S. intelligence on military and technical intelligence on the Soviet Union, Arab states, and Pakistan. Pollard's immigration to Israel in 2020 was the culmination of years of lobbying by the Israeli government to secure his release. Yeah, Donald Trump basically fucking gift wrapped Pollard's ugly ass and shipped them on, remember, Sheldon Adelson's private jet. It is so nakedly a graft, dude. It is so transparent how the Trump administration is more up for sale than any other administration prior or since. Straight up. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like American administrations are not notoriously corrupt, but the Trump one is so nakedly corrupt. Anyway, let's continue.
Of months ago by anti-Semitic activists from Colombia. They knew the president, this was his first opportunity to address it. So he took $400 million from them. And he said, do these 5 things or 8 things if you want to get it back. And they're still in discussions. When it came to Harvard and the threats against Harvard to straighten out their curriculum, to straighten out the anti-Semitism on their campuses, to start complying with some regulations that the administration put out, Harvard pushed back. And they said,
I'm not kidding when I say this. The Trump admin would do a better job of propagandizing this if they only focused on woke DEI shit rather than Israel.
We will not. And the president answered back last night by saying, if you will not, we're taking $2.5 billion from your grant system.
So there's this task force that is...
Here's the problem. When you push them on Israel, the administrations will gladly deal with it. As Harvard did. When you push them on DEI, that's where you maintain public support for controlling universities. But that's when you lose the universities, because the universities will literally fucking kill their own students for being anti-Israel. But the universities will also still maintain a woke veneer and will defend DEI to the death. And that's what happened at Harvard.
trying to get that money. Harvard, essentially, they've come back and they've said, you know what the administration is asking us to do is unconstitutional. It also flies in the face of our First Amendment rights. The president of Harvard, a fellow by the name of Alan Garber, sent a letter to the community to explain it. He said, although some of the demands outlined by the government are aimed at combating
For those of you who think Harvard refused this week. Harvard did not refuse last week. Before this week's symbolic stance that Harvard took, I keep saying the name wrong. Shut the fuck up. I know. Harvard quietly took out their head of Middle Eastern studies, a Turkish professor. I covered it. They conceded on a lot of the combating anti-Semitism and not academic receivership, but like things close to academic receivership. They did that. But once the administration came after DEI, they were like, nope. Yeah. It bears, David Austin Walsh is correct. It bears repeating that Harvard, like most other elite universities, was perfectly comfortable with the suppression of pro-Palestine speech at the behest of its donors, the Biden admin, and congressional Republicans for nearly 2 years. Obviously, this is infinitely preferable to the nakedly authoritarian alternative, but I fear that we will see the emergence of a self-exculpatory academic liberal narrative, much like that which emerged after the Red Scare about the integrity of the ivory tower and the necessity to purge at least some students, faculty, staff, even if the orders from the Trump administration went too far. And they did do this. They already did do this. I don't even think David Austin Walsh is aware that they did this. I read the report on the Crimson or whatever, the Harvard newspaper. I read it to you a couple weeks ago. While Harvard finally took a stance, and I welcome it, make no mistake, the reason why Harvard took a stance now is because Harvard already quietly conceded on a lot of the anti-Palestinian measures that, and a lot of the pro-Israeli measures that the Trump administration had demanded out of Harvard. They did all that shit. And then the Trump admin wanted more, and they were like, okay, we're not touching the woke shit. That's it. I'm sure a chatter can link the subsequent news reporting on this.
Anti-Semitism. The majority represent direct governmental regulation of the intellectual conditions at Harvard. We have informed the administration through our legal counsel that we will not accept their proposed agreement. The university will not negotiate over its independence or its constitutional rights. So they've been hit with this $2.2 billion federal freeze. But here's the thing. I would imagine this is a battle that Harvard's going to fight, because while that's $2 billion, they've got an endowment at Harvard of $53 billion. So they've got a pile of dough they could rely on if they're going to fight this.
So the president's freezing $2.2 billion on grants, $60 million in contracts. President Obama applauded this because it's his alma mater, but Elise Stefanik also graduated from Harvard, and she was on Sean's show last night sounding off about it. But here's my question, Lawrence. Why should police officers, why should teachers, why should...
Isn't that weird? Party affiliation doesn't even matter. Everyone graduates from Harvard, Yale, Columbia. Isn't that strange? How interesting. Why is this guy always at diners? Dude, that's where he is.
Bricklayers and our blue-collar workers and the people in Detroit making our cars, why should they have to pay for schools that will continue and allow anti-Semitism on their campus? Because that's what happens. These are tax dollars. Harvard does have this huge endowment, and let all of that money go to community colleges. Let it go to Mike Rowe, who's starting trade schools. Allow that money to go toward individuals who are working hard in America and never would have gotten into Harvard or can't afford Harvard.
You're exactly right, Ainsley. They are not only anti-Semitic, but they allow people in on these visas that essentially hate the country. They want to redo what America is. And they have been very vocal about the people that have been deported by the president as a result of them violating their visa.
Bro, I want to point out something here, but one of the people of German descent that escaped to the United States of America, that was a formative scholar who also was an anti-Zionist, was a Jew by the name of Albert Einstein, okay? It is fucking wild. A socialist Jew by the name of Albert Einstein. It's kind of crazy that we have this idea where we're like, yeah, no, if you are like, basically this administration, if implemented the same policies back then, would have deported Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein is just one person. I'm just simply using him as the tip of the iceberg. Like, think about it. The dude wrote about how socialism was awesome and directly wrote about how the people, the Zionist factions that were trying to build a nation state of Israel, not alongside the Palestinians that already lived there, but by exterminating them, were fucking terrorists. They were Nazi fascists. That's what Albert Einstein said. He would literally get deported so fucking fast. Can you imagine how fast Albert Einstein would get deported right now? Oh my Lord. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Oh, you think you got an American citizenship? First of all, you're Jewish, okay? Secondly, you're German. We're sending your ass back on the first boat to Germany, the Nazi Germany, bitch. That's what they would fucking do. It is crazy.
Second thing is they don't want cops on their campus as well. A lot of these campuses shun law enforcement, don't want them there, and feel like they're an enemy to the American people, which we know is untrue. Let's talk with some of the diners right now and see what there's. Go ahead.
One of the lawyers fighting for Harvard is Robert Hur. Famously did the Hur report on Biden, and the other one's a conservative too, so they think they have an advantage there. I would say this. They're going to have to evaluate. They're going to have everything under scrutiny. Why they're taking so many international students. What countries are contributing to their institution. What is in their curriculum. They're going to have to expose it all because the administration is just amping it up. Princeton's also fighting. Columbia's capitulating as of now. Maybe when they get a permanent president, they might change. But go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, you're exactly right, though, Brian. Let's go find some folks to talk to. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Doing great, man.
So Harvard, they're not going to comply with the administration.
Dude, what the fuck does shit at the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, New York have to say about Harvard? Why would I care about what these old fucking douchebags, these old Hitlerites have to say about Harvard? Who cares? Like, what a stupid piece of news. Like, I don't care what these guys have to say about anything. The only thing maybe that I would care about is, like, I don't know, is the soup good? That's the one thing you can ask these fucking douchebags that would at the very least be somewhat entertaining or interesting. Do you like the soup here? What's your favorite side dish? The fuck do you mean? You're like, oh, the administration is taking a lot of legal action against woke college campuses like Harvard. Do you think this violates the First Amendment or no? It's like, I don't care what this fucking old douchebag's take is, man.
They said get rid of the anti-Semitism. The people that hate our country, that want visas, we're going to...
Oh, man, thank God. Yeah. Even then, he has to literally fucking prop the question up as like, sir, these people have said that they would strap themselves with TNT directly on their chest and come and bomb the Embassy Diner while you are in it. Do you think that these people should be deported promptly? It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. You led that question so hard. I feel like it's impossible to say no to that.
Start revoking those visas. Harvard, as a result, have said, well, we don't want the money then. We're not going to negotiate with the administration. Where do you stand on this?
I stand 100% behind Donald Trump's decision to not fund them. People that work against this country are totally wrong. The woke need to wake up, okay, and get on the right side of what's going on. 1 minute they're saying one thing, next minute they're saying the other thing. They're doing a lot of flip-flopping, and I'm totally against it. You know, this is our country. We need to stand up for this country. I was a 9/11 first responder. I love our cops. I love our military, and people need to do the right thing by us first, and that's it.
What about you? A lot of people agree with you too, sir. He's talking about 9/11, and you see these people protesting in the middle of the street. Some of them are not even American citizens.
What does this have to do with 9/11?
They want to overthrow a lot of the government. Some of them have been extremely anti-Semitic. Is the president making the right move here?
I love him. I think he's doing a great thing.
These guys, once the cameras are off, are literally like, you know, I was there at 9/11. It's the Jews that did it. Meanwhile, over here, they're like, anti-Semitism, unacceptable. We must stop it.
I'm behind him 1,000%. The man doesn't really make too many mistakes when he talks. He was right about most things, and I'm for him 100%.
Thank you so much. It's been a great time here with a lot of these folks right here. They've been talking about some of the issues that matter to the country so much, and this is one of them. We got to protect our country, and it starts with these children that are on these college campuses.
Hey,
guys.
Lawrence, look over your right shoulder. That's the town supervisor, Joe Saladino.
One of the funniest, or rather, one of the most insane sequences of events that took place on 9/11 is I don't know why they even say this, but like the false notion that all the Jews were not in the tower. Okay. And no Jews died on 9/11 because it's like Israel did it, blah, 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 which is one, wrong. Okay. A shit ton of Jews died on 9/11. It's literally in fucking Wall Street. Okay. And two, one of the most insane sequences of events that took place is going to literally destroy your brain. Okay. You know whose company did not survive 9/11 in its entirety? Howard fucking Lutnick. Howard Lutnick's company, I forget what it was. Hold on. What the name of it is. That's right. Howard Lutnick, Trump administration's the United States current Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. His brother died on 9/11. Okay? I need you to understand how insane it is, though. Cantor Fitzgerald is the name of the company. I'm going to put you on some game about Howard Lutnick. In 1983, Lutnick was hired at Cantor Fitzgerald under the mentorship of the firm's founder, B. Gerald Cantor. In 1990, Lutnick became president and chief executive of Cantor Fitzgerald. After a medical incident involving Cantor in 1995, he entered into a legal dispute with Cantor's wife, Iris, over Cantor's succession plans. Lutnick was appointed chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald after Cantor's death in 1996. This guy's a real fucking shark. Okay? So he seizes control over Cantor Fitzgerald, invested significantly in technology, establishing an electronic trading platform known as eSpeed. And in the September 11 attacks, Cantor Fitzgerald lost 658 employees, including Howard's brother, Gary. But oh boy, what he did is so fucking sane. First of all, from what I understand, Cantor Fitzgerald was dog shit in general, but Howard Lutnick successfully sued. Okay, let me see if I can find it real quick on what he did. He created the Cantor Fitzgerald Foundation and then donated $1 million to it. The established Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund, which began donating $5,000 to families with one or more children on October 2001. Cantor Fitzgerald donated $4 million to the fund in September 2002. Okay. From what I understand, he literally fucking successfully sued the government, I think. Let me see if I can find it. My dad worked for him before 9/11, and most of his coworkers died, and my dad still voted for him and Trump. That's crazy. Let me see if I can find the actual insanity here. Hold on. Lawsuit. 9/11 settlement distribution stirs ire. It was United or American Airlines that he sued. 9/11 settlement distribution stirs ire among Cantor insiders. Some executives at Cantor Fitzgerald are steaming mad at their boss, Chief Executive Howard Lutnick, for quietly pocketing the $135 million settlement the company received from American Airlines. He fucking pocketed the awards after successfully suing American Airlines over negligence related to the 9/11 terrorist attacks that killed more than 600 of the brokerage firm's employees. I'm telling you, man, he is a fucking pure psychopath. Do you understand how evil you have to be? That's Trump's Secretary of Commerce, baby. That is his guy. Some people inside Cantor believed that the money would be distributed to the families of the company employees who died in the attacks or put into the firm's general coffers. But during a conference in March, Lutnick told senior executives the bulk of the money would be distributed among the firm's partners, according to one person on the call. Further, the person said each partner would receive $2 for each partnership unit. The source also said Lutnick is widely believed to own the biggest piece of the firm's partnership shares, thus entitling him to possibly tens of millions of dollars from the settlement. I have no idea how much he made from this, but he's the biggest trading partner, the source said. Speculation in the firm suggests Lutnick took anywhere from $15 million to $25 million from the settlement. A spokeswoman for Cantor would not deny he was entitled to receive millions of dollars, and neither she nor Lutwig would deny the speculated amount. All the money for the business interruption recovery related to the American Airlines case went either to strengthen the support to overall business or over 600 Cantor partners, precisely proportionate with the exact stake in the company, Mr. Lutnick included, the spokesman said. For 5 years, Cantor's partners provided 25% of the firm's profits to the 9/11 families, a total of at least $180 million, in addition to 10 years of health benefits. How fucking nutty is that, dude? Yeah. I told you the payoff was sweet. How do we get here? From the false, weirdly false assertion that like no Jews died on 9/11, all the way to Howard Lutnick's firm losing 600 of their employees on 9/11, only to have Howard Lutnick, Trump's current Commerce Secretary, successfully sue American Airlines for their negligence that led to 9/11 in his eyes, successfully suing them for hundreds of millions of dollars, and then taking the largest share of the fucking bounty. God damn. Anyway, fun facts with HasanAbi once again. Yeah, and also the very fact that like how he got in control over the company itself is also a little suspicious too. A real art of the deal kind of guy, baby. A real shark. Old school, cartoonishly evil sleazeball.